Hello there, my name is Jenna and I am a breast cancer survivor here to interview a fellow breast cancer survivor, Louise Turner. Hello, Louise, how are you doing?
I'm fine, and you, Jen? Thanks very much for the intro.
Thanks. So I think we're going to jump right into it and get to your breast cancer story. So tell us, what led you to the doctors?
Strange thing. I was in the shower one morning, um, did something different, I suppose, and I felt a lump in my breast. Um, didn't know anything about breast cancer, didn't know anything about self-breast examinations, etc. 34 years old, and I was about to go on holiday overseas 2 days later, so I didn't think about it at all. And when I got to my aunt in Holland, my partner told her about this, and she marched me into the bedroom, had a look at this. She's a nursing sister, retired, and said to me, "My girl, you go and see the doctor when you get back." And that was basically how it happened. I arrived back home in South Africa, walked into Mill Park Radiology, 34 years old, and said, "I need a mammogram, please." And they looked at me and said, "No." I said, "Well, I need one. I have to have one. Can you please do it?" I'm not the kind of person who takes no for an answer. No doctor's referral, anything. They did the mammogram. They said, "I need a biopsy." I went, "Okay, fine." Did the biopsy. And a couple of weeks later, got told in a rather unpleasant manner that I have breast cancer. I went to the government unit. I didn't have medical aid at the time, or I was just changing medical aids rather. Walked into a breast clinic, got called into a consulting room. Young blonde doctor, I'm sure she was still a student, looked at me, opened my file, and went, "You have breast cancer. You need to start chemotherapy. Go to this and this floor, 495, make an appointment." And that was it. So my original experience, or my experience of getting involved and being part of this breast cancer community, was not the most pleasant. No support structures in place, didn't know what questions to ask, didn't know who to turn to. But yeah, at the age of 34, I was diagnosed with getting technical, T3N1 hormone sensitive breast cancer.
And how were you feeling during all of this? What was your reaction?
Before I walked into that consulting room, I already knew something was wrong. Okay, I was 60-40. I have breast cancer and I'm in trouble. Generally, I take charge of everything around me and I'm in control of what happens in my life, etc. And for the first time, I sat there and went, "You know what? This is beyond me. I cannot fix this. I can't do anything about this. I have to give my life over to the doctors," which I did. I saw the oncologist, and 17 years later, she is still my oncologist, and she laughs about it. I walked in there and I said, "Fix me. I can't do anything. Fix me." And that's where the journey started. You don't really, or in my case, you can't bargain with it. You can't figure out how to change it. You don't know where you're going. I made a point of not Googling and finding out all the things because I couldn't fix it. Only the doctors could fix it for me. So I made a decision in the beginning that I'm going to leave it up to them and let them do what they need to do, because there's nothing that I could do about the situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was out of your hands.
Completely.
And do you have a family history of breast cancer or cancer?
No family history at all of cancers. There are other family or genetic and hereditary things in our family. But at 34, no. My parents, no cancer in the family whatsoever.
And so did you take your family with to consultations? Did you tell them about the news? How did they react?
I had just moved cities
Mm,
about 2 years before that. I originally from Cape Town and I'd moved to Johannesburg. So I did not have the family support structure around me that a lot of people have. My partner was a great support structure. I had started a new job and walked into a brand new environment 14 days before I started chemo. So I hadn't had the opportunity to build those working relationships that most people have. Yeah, so we were pretty much on our own. The support groups that were available at the time, there were support groups. There were ladies at oncology every time I went there, lovely old ladies in their 70s, breast cancer survivors, etc. I was 34 sitting on my computer working, and I don't think they could relate to me. And I couldn't relate to them because their life circumstances were different. They were mothers, grannies, retired, housewives. I was early 30s, career orientated, driven, etc. Hadn't had kids. It wasn't in my plan at the time. So, yes, they were very sweet. And how are you doing? But they couldn't provide me with any emotional support, because I think there was such a diversity in age, culture, background, etc., that I couldn't relate to them. So, yeah, I went through this with my partner and one or two close friends here, family being in Cape Town, telephonic support, but I never really let them see what chemotherapy does to you.
yes, yes.
Mm.
So what was your anchor? What gave you strength?
Um, I think I chose to keep going. I chose not to let this get me down. Um, Being in a new work environment, etc., etc., I had to perform. I had to get the job done, even though I was green and grey some days after chemo. That kept me going. And the fact that not once did it occur to me that I could die
Mm,
at all. The first time that occurred to me was when I was laying on the hospital bed going to theatre for my anesthetic to have my mastectomy. I laid and I thought, oh my God, what if I die? And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to sleep. I won't even know it's happened. And I went into theatre.
mm,
So it was never an option for me. I also didn't do all the research
mm,
that a lot of people do. So I was quite ignorant in many ways about what breast cancer can do, what the long-term possibilities are, etc. And I think that at the time was what kept me going. I
mm.
did not over-educate myself, which I would normally do. I just basically gave my life over to my oncologist and said, let's get through this.
Mm.
And that's basically what I did.
You didn't give yourself another option. It
No,
was there was no
what
other
other
option.
option is there, Jenna? What other
Exactly.
option is there, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
So just tell us a little bit about what your treatment regime was. Chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, which came first? How did it happen?
Well, what I know now compared to what I knew then is two very different things. But basically, started chemotherapy. Um, they managed to, I had a very good response to chemo. They managed to melt the tumor away, basically. So I did what many of us call Red Devil, which is the one of the chemo cocktails they give you. Others call it Red Angel. But a lot of us do Red Angel post having that chemo because it's no fun. And then after that, I had a mastectomy.
Mhm.
Um, They took a whole lot of lymph nodes out, etc., etc. And then I waited about a year and a half before I started the reconstruction process. Again, time off from work, chemo days, surgery days. I didn't have sick leave available. So I waited for a year and a half. And on my 36th birthday, I remember this clearly because it was my birthday, I had a lady come to my house with a whole lot of prostheses, and she fitted me with an external prosthesis, which I wore, obviously, corporate gear. And yeah, I carried on until I started the reconstruction process.
So how long did your treatment take from diagnosis to finish?
Okay, so got diagnosed the 16th of April, had my mastectomy on the 7th of October. Done.
Okay.
Cancer was there 16th of April, 7th of October, the cancer was gone. The hair started growing back, and everybody thinks life is back to normal because you look normal, your hair's grown back. But from a surgery point of view and a reconstruction point of view, that took another 2 years, 2.5 years actually. So, and this is something I now use when I help people and educate people and speak to families. Just because the hair's grown back does not mean that this journey is over. And there are still a lot of things that people don't see, because when they see you and you don't have hair, they go, oh my God, she's got cancer. But when the hair grows back and you find your new normal in life, there's still treatment. There's hormone therapies you've got to do for a number of years. There's surgeries you've got to do. So, yeah, it's a process. I'm 17 years out, and last week went for my annual checkup 3 years late. But, it's a lifelong thing. You've still got to do your checkups. You've still got to make sure it doesn't come back. I think 17 years down the line, I'm pretty confident it's never coming back. But it's something that changes your life.
Absolutely.
And it's something that you will live with all your life. There's always the little man in the back of the head that goes, what if, what if? But yes, I think I'm good for another couple of years. And who knows? One never knows what tomorrow can bring.
Absolutely. What hurdles or specific side effects, mental, physical kind of challenges did you have during treatment, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so let's start off with the first one. Chemotherapy sucks. Okay, let's be honest. I would not wish it on anybody, even though it is life-saving. So we planned my treatment for Fridays. So I'd have chemo every Friday. So I had Saturday and Sunday to recuperate so I could work on Monday. So chemo was no fun. My second chemo was really bad. I should have been hospitalized because of dehydration, etc. But being stubborn, I didn't. And when I had my following chemo, my oncologist said, okay, well, I'm going to pump you full of cortisone. So when I got diagnosed, I thought, cool, I'm going to lose a few kilos. Always the positive side of things. And after my second chemo, I'd lost about 5 kilos because I was so sick. She pumped me full of cortisone, and I put on that 5 plus another 20 in 6 months. So I think that was a big challenge for me because every 3 weeks, literally, I had to buy new pants and new clothes because I was outgrowing my clothes so quickly. So I think that was the worst part of it for me, was this going from normal to no hair to the Michelin Man in a space of 6 months.
And working corporate.
And working in corporate and having to wear the high heels and the bandanas, and everybody looks at you and knows you're sick, but you don't know them. So yeah, but I think, look, it's tough. Let's be honest. Chemo is not for sissies. But things have changed so much in the last 17 years that the side effects are managed far better than they were then. Um, yeah, but I think that was the difficult part for me. I was this person in the beginning, and then I was this much larger person at the end of treatment. Yeah, that was quite tough. And then obviously I made a point, and I think this is also part of my salvation during that, that no matter what, I would get up, I would get dressed, and I would go to the office. I
Okay.
might sit there green and not get much accomplished, but the fact that I got up, got dressed, went to work, and that was my sense of normality.
Yes.
I
What
might have
kept
gone
you
home
going?
early because I felt bad,
Mm.
but that kept me going through this.
Okay. Okay. And during surgery, what was your battles?
My battles during surgery. Well, I woke up, I didn't die, number one, which was a good thing. Obviously, they took out a lot of lymph nodes and had a mastectomy. And I think this is something everybody naturally does, is if you've got a sore part of your body or something has been done, you naturally want to protect that area.
Mm-hmm.
And I overprotected that area to the extent that the muscles in my arm all shortened from keeping it in that place. I had to have physio afterwards, which was no fun. But, you learn as you go.
Mm.
And I think what I did learn much later was ask questions. Don't be scared. They're only doctors, they're only human. But if you don't ask, you'll never get an answer,
Yeah.
because the cancer community, the multidisciplinary team for breast cancer, there's so much information. And I think the doctors and the auxiliary staff are conditioned not to tell you everything
Yeah.
unless you ask questions. So maybe I didn't ask enough questions, but that was one of the things from the exercise point of view from surgery, was that I overprotected and my arms sort of became less functional, if that's
Yes.
the right word to use, because you can't stretch it, you can't.
Mm.
Yeah. And from the reconstructions, that was a journey in itself, because it's not one surgery, it's 3 or 4 surgeries.
Mm.
So every couple of months, you've got 2, 3 weeks off from work because you're having a surgery. You can't drive, you can't chop vegetables, those sort of things. And I think one of the big lessons for me during that sort of 2-year period was it's okay to ask for help,
Yeah.
which is quite important. I mean, I couldn't chop vegetables. I
Mm.
had to ask somebody to chop the vegetables. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You learn that you can't do everything on your own, that it's okay to ask someone to help you. It's okay to not be strong all the time.
Mm.
It's okay to actually let this experience, let this journey take a part of you, that you wouldn't normally give up, if that
Yes.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I think that
To
was the
change
big
your
lesson.
perspective. Absolutely.
Oh no, the perspective is a completely different thing, Jenna. That's how you deal with life after a crisis. I'm talking about the everyday practical stuff. Is it's okay to ask for help. I think that was the important lesson at the time.
Okay. Okay. That it's okay for those around you to help you and to not be okay.
Yeah.
Um, and now you are also a cervical cancer survivor. So tell us just a little bit about that as well.
That's actually, it's not funny, but it's actually funny. I work in the cancer community all the time. I work with breast cancer patients, etc. And the advice I always give is trust your gut, trust your body, If you think something's wrong and you feel that something's not right, go and have it checked out. So after chemo, your menstrual cycle, your hormones all go crazy, etc. And I felt something's not right, and I must have it checked out. Do you know that to get into a gynecologist is extremely difficult unless you're pregnant? Okay. The waiting lists are 3, 6, 9 months, depending on who you go and see. So I thought, maybe I must just go and have a gynae checkup. I phoned, and being in this cancer community, the doctors and you work with them and the staff. And I said to the lady, listen, I think I've got a problem, and I need to see Dr. So-and-so. She said to me, Louise, are you pregnant? I said, do you need me to be so I can get an appointment? She goes, okay, I'll slot you in. Okay. A bit of a joke, which is a bit of a joke that otherwise I would have waited for months. Anyway, saw the gynae and she did a pap smear, etc. And came back and said to me, Lou, you got a problem, yeah? It's cervical cancer and we are going to do XYZ. So they did the colposcopy, didn't get a clear margin, and then did the hysterectomy. So the funny part is now I'm a complete sports model. I've got fake boobs, I've got no womb, uterus, etc. I'm a complete sports model. But yeah, getting complacent and not listening to your body is a lesson sometimes. But yeah, so I've had 2 cancers. Neither one of them have killed me, so I doubt anything will. But yeah, it's a wake-up call. You start thinking about what's important in life and what the realities are and where you actually want to be.
So your breast cancer and cervical cancer, how did it change the way you look at life?
Oh, there's so many ways, but I think the most important part of it is most people, 20s, 30s, are so career driven that corporate ladder is the only thing you concentrate on. You take calls after hours, you work weekends, etc. And being in that corporate environment, even while I was in treatment for breast cancer, all I wanted to do in 5 years was take over my boss's job, because that's the next step in the sort of evolution of corporate life. And it took me a few years after breast cancer to realize that, not that it's not worth it, it just wasn't that appealing to me anymore. There's more important things in life than just work, work, work. So the work balance, life balance, spiritual balance actually started to come into play. And I resigned from corporate, decided to take 6 months off and just recoup my life and figure out where and what I wanted to do. And the universe is a strange thing. A position became available at the Breast Health Foundation, and I was offered the position. And 13 years later, I'm still here. Yes, I still work weekends sometimes. Yes, I still answer the phone all strange hours of the night and after hours and weekends to help patients, but that's fine. I'm choosing to do it. And it's a passion. And, some days I have a bad day, like we all do. But then you look at our patients and you see what they are going through and the difference you are making in their lives, and it all becomes worth it.
So what kind of message would you want to share with the public or younger people that don't take this topic or breast cancer seriously?
Look, I didn't take cancer seriously. Why would I? I was 34. I mean, like, really, this is an old people's disease. Now that I am that old person, I might look at it a little bit differently. But again, we as women tend to look after everybody else around us. whether it's hubby because he's got man flu, or whether it's the kids, etc. And we don't always listen to our bodies, and we don't always put ourselves first. And I think that's something that we as women need to do, is respect your body, understand your body. If you feel something's not right, go and have it checked out. Rather have it checked and be told you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, than to leave it and leave it and leave it until it becomes a cancer or a dreaded disease that has progressed so far that they can only manage you and not put you in remission or cure you.
What would you say to a friend or family member or someone going through a similar situation, a breast cancer, a cancer?
There's so much I would say to them. Okay. And the first thing I would not say to them is, it's okay, you'll be fine. Okay. Because that's what most people do. Or, oh, shame, really? You've got breast cancer. My auntie's uncle's grandmother's sister died of breast cancer. These are things not to say to patients. And I think a lot of the time, it's not about what you say, it's about how you listen to them and how you let them speak their journey, their story, because we're all different. Take courage from the people around you. Hope. I mean, hope is a word that gets used so frivolously sometimes, but there is always hope in every situation. Don't let people take away your hope. Things like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. That's taking away your hope. And the person saying it doesn't always realize that what they're saying is actually useless. It is like, really? I'm going to be fine? How do you know? You haven't been through this journey. So I think when it comes to what to say to patients, they will tell you in their body language, their speaking, their environment, etc., what they need from you. So every person is different. As most of my team know, if there's a difficult patient, they send me in to counsel the patient, because I will, look, you have a choice. You either do this or you do this. But that's a certain type of patient. Other patients, you treat each person differently. And I think the most important thing, and this isn't just about cancer or breast cancer, I think this is about life, is treat the person the way you want to be treated by them. And if you can respect that and they can respect it, it makes a huge difference in the psychosocial environment that that patient is in.
If you had one message that you could say to women in general about breast cancer, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many, Jen. There's the cliche all over the world, early detection saves lives, okay, which is everybody's messaging all around the world. And I think people are so sick and tired of hearing early detection saves lives. But I think, and it's not just about breast cancer, it's about any disease, cancer, is look after yourself. Check yourself. Make sure that you, as a mother, a daughter, a sister, look after yourself, because if you're not there, who's going to take care of the family? So I think the most important thing is take care of yourself, whether it means you've got to be a little bit selfish and use up the medical aid savings, do that, because if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of the people around you? And that's not just for breast cancer, that's for any disease in life. The medical advances that have been made in the last 10, 15, even the last 5 years there shouldn't be anybody dying of a metastatic cancer. But it's about getting it checked. Follow your gut. You know something's not right, go and have it seen to. And yeah, and if you do get diagnosed with a breast cancer, there's very few positive things that come out of situations in life, but you can always find a positive. My breast cancer journey has put me on a very different path in my life from where I was. I have met some of the most phenomenal women that I would never, ever have met before because of breast cancer. So I think I'm quite privileged in a way that I experienced breast cancer, because by going through that experience, it's changed my life so much for the better. And I don't think I would have made these changes had I not been diagnosed.
Great. Thank you very much, Lou. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. I think that's about us.
Absolute pleasure, Jen, anytime.
Great.